Greetings, everyone. We're in an accelerated time of transition and transformation on the planet. And I want to talk today about how we're going to experience an even increasing time of change as we move towards March 20th, which will be the spring equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere, fall equinox in the Southern Hemisphere. On March 21st, we have a powerful new moon at 0 degrees of Aries. And then on March 23rd, Pluto makes its first pass into the sign of Aquarius. So we are being guided into the Aquarian age as Pluto makes that first venture into Aquarius, and it will be there from March 23rd until June 10th. And then on June 11th, it will move back into Capricorn and be there through the remainder of the year. So we're being given this period of time, very powerful period of time from March through June, where we're being guided to begin to envision, begin to experience, begin to dream into being these paradigms of the Aquarian age that we're being called into. And how they will manifest is so dependent on how we work with these energies. Remember that part of the meaning of Aquarius and moving into this new age is to remember that we are energy beings. We are in an incredibly accelerated process of being guided to leave the paradigms of the past, to open to new ways of being, to remember that we are beings of energy, beings of light, and that we are in interconnection with all of the life around us and all of the life of the cosmos. And as we're moving through this profound time, the cosmic energies that are coming to our Earth, the solar energies, are increasing in their impact on us because the magnetic shield of the Earth is lessened. So we're feeling that information coming from the light, the transformation coming from these cosmic energies, changing our DNA, affecting our psyches, supporting us, if we are open to it, to move into higher states of consciousness. And remember, as Rory Duff has talked about, as these energies are impacting the Earth, it's increasing the energies of the ley lines and of the Earth's core in a way that is also reverberating on the planet and supporting us in this transformational process. The Earth herself is in a time of change. And remember that it's at the time of the equinoxes and the solstices that these Earth energy lines are most intensely activated. So if you have the opportunity to go to a sacred site, to go to the intersection of some of these profound sacred earth ley lines, it's an incredibly powerful way to meditate, to attune to these energies of the earth and sky, and to be supported in how we're in this transformational process and moving into this higher consciousness. As we move through this profound time of change, our level of consciousness and how we respond to these energies will shape the outcome, will affect how these energies manifest in our lives individually and collectively. So remember, in the intensity of these times, it's important to remember our responsibility to be working these energies consciously, to be accessing the gift of them and not getting caught in the shadow side of these energies. Remember that we are soul selves having this experience on the earth plane to grow in love and wisdom, to be in a process of evolution of our consciousness. This is a critical time when we can make a huge leap as humanity into higher consciousness if we work with these energies in a way that we are allowing them to support us and guide us into these new ways of being. As we move into Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, Pluto will be squaring the lunar nodes. That's a profound karmic choice point, to be deciding the direction that we want to move in individually and to move in collectively. How we work with these energies, the energies that we embody and emanate, will have a profound impact on how these take shape in the world around us. So let's look now at the energies of this new moon and how profound it is in this critical time with Pluto about to move into the sign of Aquarius. As you can see, this is a very powerful new moon with the sun and moon at 0 degrees of Aries and all these other planets in Aries, including Mercury, Jupiter, Chiron, Arizina. So the energy of Aries is very powerful at the time of this new moon. And as I was just saying, how that manifests will depend on our consciousness and how we work with these energies. Aries, being a cardinal fire sign, can manifest in terms of our taking initiative, moving in new directions, having that spark of creativity that can call us, guide us into these new forms as we're preparing for Pluto's first movement into Aquarius. However, if we're not working with these energies consciously, Aries can be the energy of reactivity, impulsivity, aggression, anger, acting out. So we are responsible for how we choose to work with these energies. And this will be a very intense time because you have all of this energy of fire, energy of Aries, and then the new moon is in an out of sign conjunction with Neptune, the energy of water. And Neptune conjunct the sun and moon. The gift of that can be tapping into our creativity, our connection with spirit, our remembrance of our oneness, so that how we're moving in these new directions, how we're using this initiative of Aries is about our honoring our connection with each other, with all that is, coming from compassion, tapping into our imagination, our intuition, our inner guidance. Or if we're not working that energy consciously, that can be about feeling overwhelmed, feeling victimized, wanting to escape, getting caught in illusion. That then this dynamic with Aries can be acting out from that experience of overwhelm, or wanting to escape, or becoming reactive and aggressive. And particularly because Neptune at this time is squaring Mars, it can lead to that lack of clarity about how we're acting or working with our energy. If worked at the deepest level, this is about how are we acting from Neptune, a deeper intuition and spiritual understanding of how our actions are impacting those around us, and a longing for our actions to be of service in the world and of service to others, and coming from compassion, Neptune and Pisces. But it can also manifest as feeling overwhelmed and then acting out through words or actions in ways that can be destructive to others. And because Mars is also in a quincunx now with Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn, remember, a quincunx is this energy of tension, of frustration, because these energies of the planets don't quite know how to work together. So again, it can just aggravate this Mars energy of aggression or acting out if we're not working this consciously. And I think this can be magnified by the fact that as Pluto's in its final degree of Capricorn, we on the planet are so intensely feeling that energy of the deconstruction of the systems and structures in our world, Capricorn. Pluto is calling us into a process of letting go of these structures in our world that have given us a sense of security and stability. Pluto is calling us into a time of deep transformation. Remember, Pluto is the planet that takes us through a process of death, rebirth. It takes us into the underworld in order to be in a process of initiation, of alchemy, to emerge in new ways. So we're feeling that tension and that sense of deconstruction of the forms around us. But if we remember, it's a transition into these new forms that we're beginning to sense, beginning to glimpse and dream, then we can hold this intense time in that larger perspective, in that larger understanding. But I do believe that some of what we're seeing as we're in this transition into the age of Aquarius are some of those who are attempting to hold power over us, to grab onto the old paradigms, the power over model with even more intensity in order to keep those forms intact. So we're feeling this incredible polarization on the planet right now between those who are awakening and moving in new directions and those that are trying to cling to power and control and domination, and those who are overwhelmed and confused. And because of that, becoming reactive and acting out or feeling overwhelmed and wanting to escape. So we're seeing that full spectrum. But remember, in this incredible time, Jupiter is conjunct Chiron. That started February 6th and will continue until April 12th, that they'll be in a 5-degree orb with each other. And I believe this is powerfully guiding us to do the healing that we need to do around our sense of self, Aries, and our actions. It's guiding us to heal and move out of those out of balanced energies of the age of Aquarius that we still are clinging to, that are about that power over model. But I also think Jupiter conjunct Chiron. Remember that Jupiter is about our beliefs, our stories, how we are viewing what's going on around us. I think Chiron conjunct Jupiter is guiding us to be more conscious of how we are viewing what we're experiencing in this time. What are the stories that we are telling ourselves about this time? We're seeing so much in the collective consciousness, how we're bombarded by information and social media and different interpretations of the reality that's going on around us. Part of the responsibility we need to take in this time is how are we conscious of our beliefs, our thoughts, our stories about ourselves and about this time that we're in. Remember that our stories then become what we project out onto the reality around us and then shape how we act, Aries, shape how we feel and interact with others around us. If we're not doing the deep healing that Chiron is calling us into, then the stories that we are tending to project and put out about this experience that we're in are likely to be shaped by the patterns of the past. Shaped by the patterns of the past in terms of the collective structures that we've lived in and our sense of how the world should function and what should be giving us a sense of security and stability. Or those stories can also be shaped by our projecting out our trauma from the past Chiron, those unresolved wounds that we carry, that we then project out and expect to experience in an ongoing way in our lives. If we've come from wounds and trauma in the past, in our sense of self, in our relationships, then we tend to hold those beliefs and emanate that energy that can then actually draw those experiences to us. If we heal and become more conscious of those stories, those beliefs, those ways in which the wounds from the past have shaped our experience of reality, then we have the capacity to transform that, to heal that, to emanate a different energy that allows us to move into new patterns that enable us then to be in experiences that are more healing for us and allow us then to act in a way that is more healing for others. So I think this is a very critical time for us to be in a witness self, to be observing our feelings, our actions, our reactions, and to take enough time to step back and look at what is going on, what we're feeling, where those triggers are, and what they're connected to, and what are our beliefs and stories about all of that that we may be mired in. Neptune is supporting us in dissolving those stories and patterns from the past that no longer serve us. Pluto is guiding us to be in this process of deconstruction, reconstruction. Chiron is supporting us in healing, and Jupiter then is helping us shape new stories, new beliefs, to be moving into these new paradigms, to be manifesting this energy of Aries, to take action, to develop those new forms. So it's so critical that we, as we move into this time of the new moon, not act impulsively or act out of patterns from the past, but to really consciously see this as a liminal time, a time to go within, a time to step back, a time to be in the witness self, and to tune in to what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, what is activating our wounds from the past. Consciously work to heal those so that we're moving forward into this time of change from a place of clarity and capacity to move into new patterns that are healing for ourselves, healing in our relationship with others, and healing for the world. Let me show you where this new moon is in the sky. So while the new moon is at 0 degrees of Aries in the tropical zodiac, in the sky, the sun and moon and Mercury close to Neptune, here's Jupiter, all in the stars of Pisces. This is the part of the sky that's called the waters. This is where we're being guided to open to our emotions, to dive into the waters of our experience and our feelings, to open to our Pisces connection to the oneness of all that is, to remember that we all come from that sea of cosmic consciousness, that we're each a unique manifestation of that oneness of all that is. And we're encouraged to dive into the waters of our imagination, of our creativity, to be seeding the new forms that we're moving into as we move into the Aquarian age. I think it is fascinating that if you look at the Sabian symbol for 0 degrees of Aries, the sign of Aries in the chart, the meaning of that in terms of the Sabian symbol, remember each degree of the zodiac carries a certain meaning, a certain archetypal energy. And the meaning of 0 degrees of Aries is a woman rises out of the water. A seal rises and embraces her. I find that image, this comes from the site by James Burgess on the meaning of the Sabian symbols, and I'll put that link below. But what's fascinating about that image, someone rising out of the water, a woman rising out of the sea, a seal also rising and embracing her. To me, it's encouraging us to remember that part of the meaning of this time is reclaiming the energies of the sacred feminine that have been below the surface, that are rising again. We are meant to reconnect with the energies of the earth, of nature, and remember our oneness with the sacredness of the life around us. We are encouraged to connect to that energy of the depths of our creativity and our capacity to draw on that deeper consciousness to emerge and bring that into form and shape in our world in new ways. So as you experience this new moon, know that it will be a fluid time, even though we're feeling that Aries energy of cardinal fire, that sign in the chart. We're in the waters of Pisces in the sky, and with that conjunction with Neptune next to the sun and moon. So we are likely to feel this combination of, at times, flooded by different feelings, or feeling pulled into the waters of our unconscious, or the waters of our imagination, our creativity. We're going to feel that energy of Aries, that wanting to take action, a sense of urgency, or that impulse to act, to take initiative, to move in new directions. I would encourage you to hold this new moon as a liminal time, a time to step back, a time to remember that the spring equinox and the fall equinox are the time where the light and the dark are in balance. This is a time to hold that balance of the light and dark within us. It is the time where we're preparing to move into the energies of the Aquarian age without quite knowing what shape and form they'll take. But if we honor this liminal time that we're in and go deep within and do the healing work that we need to do to move forward in a clear way, and in a way that we have confidence and trust in this larger unfolding that we're a part of, then we can be beginning to envision and dream the new forms from our hearts, from our soul selves, from the depths of our creativity and capacity to manifest forms that are in harmony with the earth, with each other, with all that is. And then on March 23rd, Pluto moves into the sign of Aquarius and is now squaring the lunar nodes in Scorpio and Taurus. As I've talked about before, this is incredibly powerful that Pluto will be squaring the nodes. This is an intensification of that energy of transformation. It is a karmic choice point for us on the planet. We have the capacity to move into the paradigms of the age of Aquarius in a way that are moving into this higher consciousness and co-creating a world that is in balance and harmony. Or we have the capacity to play out the shadow side of the age of Aquarius and continue to idealize technology and our capacity to manipulate what's around us, and to move into an age of Aquarius that is about increasing disconnection from our soul selves, from our humanity, from our capacity to be in balance with each other, to being more about control, manipulation, power over, technology, loss of our humanity. Pluto will be squaring the lunar nodes in Aquarius from March 23rd through June 10th, which is when Pluto then moves back into the sign of Capricorn. I believe that part of the meaning of Pluto squaring the South Node in Scorpio is that we need to really look at what's in the shadows. We need to dive into the awareness of what's in our own unconscious. We need to deal with those deeper feelings and experiences that we may have buried. We need to look at what's been hidden in the darkness. And Pluto is guiding us into this deep dive into what is in the shadows that needs to come to the light of awareness. Pluto is that planet that takes us into the underworld, into the darkness, in order to be in a process of initiation and transformation. So know that as we're in this profound transition time, we are going to be facing what we may have tried to hide from ourselves about our own unresolved issues, our own unconscious dynamics, our own ways of acting out of our wounds from the past. But hold that as an opportunity for healing and transformation. That Pluto is taking us into that journey into the underworld, not to take us down, but to take us through a process of transformation into emerging more fully in the true gold of who we are. The North Node is in Taurus, guiding us into what we can manifest, how we can be embodied in a new way, how we can be more in connection with the earth. But to move into that new way of being, we have to be willing to dive into the depths of who we are and the shadow aspects of ourselves that we haven't been willing to face. And that is true collectively as well as individually. It is important that we face collectively what are the stories that we've been projecting, what are the unresolved wounds that we have collectively that we are still playing out in the world in this time in destructive ways. When we can work that South Node in Scorpio, it is about transformation, and Scorpio supports us then in diving deep into not only bringing those shadow aspects to the surface for healing, but being able to dive into the depths of the hidden gifts and treasures that can also emerge into our consciousness and be accessed to empower us in this time. A part of what I'm passionate about is how do we individually and collectively heal and face the wounds from the past in order to develop new patterns, new ways of being in our lives individually, but how do we also do that collectively? And what are the stories that we tell about our lives? What are the stories that we tell collectively? One of the things that I think is important as we're dealing with this activation of Aries energy is the story that we tell about the meaning of Aries, ruled by Mars. We hold that remembrance in our psyches of the age of Aries when we were moving in to the patriarchal period. Age of Aries started around 2000 BC and continued until the beginning of the age of Pisces, 2000 years later. In that age of Aries, we were being guided to explore our sense of self, our capacity to experience our sense of individuality and how we could express ourselves. But we also lived out the shadow side of that, which was moving into power over, war, violence, and aggression. And we now hold a story in our collective consciousness that war, violence, destruction, power struggles, competition are the way of humanity, are the way of life. This is just who we are on the earth plane. That is a story. That is not the reality. And that is a story that's caught up in our experience of the age of Aries and how we've kept that projection and that story of ourselves throughout the age of Pisces to now here on the cusp of the age of Aquarius. Part of what's been profound for me in exploring and researching the past ages is realizing in the age of Taurus, 4000 to 2000 BCE, archaeologists like Marija Gimbutas, who explored the settlements in old Europe and in parts of Mesopotamia, came to the realization with other archaeologists that there were no signs of weapons, there were no fortified walls around the towns or cities to be defending against war. There was no sign of war in the age of Taurus. We hold this story that we have always been violent and aggressive as humanity. We hold the story that the process of biological evolution is survival of the fittest. Conquer or be conquered. Fight, compete for the resources in order to ensure your survival. These are the stories that we tell ourselves that actually then shape how we act and the future that we create. We need to step back and look at the stories that we identify with and view as the reality of how things are, so that then we are living that out and continuing to create that in our reality. It's time to change our stories. I do believe that part of what's critical as we move into the age of Aquarius is that we imagine new stories, dream new dreams, envision a new future. This is the time with this new moon, as we experience this equinox, as Pluto's making its first pass into Aquarius, that we can seed the dreams, the visions of what we want to manifest, of how we want to co-create with these cosmic energies and earth energies to create a different reality and a new world. But it's incredibly important, not only that we heal from the wounds of the past that tend to keep us caught in those painful patterns and to keep reenacting them, as well as reacting from them and recreating them. And then to be able to, from a clear place and an alignment with our soul selves and with the earth and sky, dream a new vision and a new story. We can dream a story about the rebalancing of the polarities, about a remembrance of integration and oneness, about a capacity to engage with each other from a place of mutuality and respect and collaboration and compassion. We can create a new story of ourselves and of humanity and of what our future can look like. Or we can resist that responsibility, identify with the pain from the past, lock into the paradigms of the past and the paradigms of power over and competition, conflict, violence, scarcity, greed, corruption, and continue to recreate that in an even more intense way as we move into the age of Aquarius. We have the responsibility to be co-creators and collaborators in manifesting this new reality we're moving into. Remember that the core root of responsibility is the ability to respond. We are not victims of the energies of this time. We are co-creators with cosmic consciousness. And we have the ability to step back, look at the story that we have about ourselves and our lives, look at the stories we want to seed in the collective consciousness, look at what we want to co-create together. Because we are energy beings, those beliefs that we hold shape the feelings that we have about our experiences, shape the energies then that we emanate, that then tend to activate those experiences in what gets manifested around us. We are responsible for looking at our beliefs, our stories, at how we act, how we react, and how we can step back to be conscious co-creators of this age of Aquarius, of this new world that we are capable of manifesting together. This is a powerful time. This is a transformation time, a time of alchemy, of initiation, of daring to dive deep into the waters of our own emotions, into the waters of our creativity and the energies of cosmic consciousness to emerge in a new way. May we heal, may we cleanse ourselves from the unhealthy patterns from the past. May we heal and change our stories and co-create a new vision, a new dream, and a new world together. Blessed be.